Hey, it's Alex here again, and I'm going to run you through how to use Sunbreak's 42 new switch skills. Alright, first up is the bow, which gets stake thrust, butcher's bind, and bolt boost. For the stake thrust, if you hit the special attack button, you can leave this stake in the target, and when you hit it, it's going to hit for a bit of extra damage. This thing will stay in the target for 45 seconds or until you deal enough damage at that spot, then it'll vanish. You can also do this after a charge shot if you press the normal attack button out of that. Then you have the Butcher's Bind, which is similar to the stake. It'll inflict extra damage if you hit that spot. However, you can shoot this from a distance. If you miss with that one shot, it will go away, so you do have to aim carefully with that. And you can combine this with the stakes effect if you hit them right next to each other and get a little extra bonus damage. Then you have the Bolt Boost buff, which is a minute 45 buff, which gives you lesser sweet spot range. However, when you're in this sweet spot, you'll be dealing some extra damage there. You can also switch skill swap and do the Herculean draw buff and maintain both of the effects. Then we have the Longsword, which gets Sacred Sheath combo, Tempered Spirit Blade, and Harvest Moon. First up, the Sacred Sheath combo can be used one of two ways. It can be used as a counter like that, which will increase your spirit gauge, or ideally, you hold it for the entirety of this animation, and those will consume your levels of spirit gauge. You can also dodge around while you're in this, and then when you launch it, you'll do this big ol' attack. Pretty nice. Then you have the Tempered Spirit Blade, which is a counter, and the window seems to be right at the very start of the animation, and if you hit that, it'll raise your spirit gauge by 1 level. The attack itself also does a decent amount of damage as well. Then there's the Harvest Moon ability, which puts this big circle around you, which lasts for a minute 30, and when you're in this, it'll reduce your spirit gauge from depleting. Also, counterattacks will have additional hits. If you try to go to the outside of this, it'll kick you right back to the center. But if you want to get out of here, you can just sheath your weapon and the circle will dissipate. For the light bowgun, you have critical firepower, wyvern counter, and mech silkbind shot. First up, you have critical firepower, which will increase the damage of most all of the ammo types, but it lessens your sweet spot distance and also somewhat increases the recoil. Then you have the Wyvern Counter, which is this backwards evade move, but if you use it right as you're getting hit, you'll do that big shot out of it. Then you have the Mech Silkbind Shot, which loads up this special ammo, and these will lodge into the monster, and on the spots that it leaves behind, it'll have increased chances of breaking the parts that are right there, or make the monster more easily mountable. For the dual blades, you get the Slide Slash combo, Spiral Slash, and Iron Shine Silk. For the Slide Slash combo, if you hit left or right when you're normal attacking, it'll do this reorienting strike, and this also works during the Demon Flurry rush as well. For the Spiral Slash, this will send you drilling into the target if it's a more solid part of the monster. If it's something like an appendage or a wing, you'll just go flying right through it there. This can also be used in mid-air, which will do a similar effect. Then you have Iron Shine Silk, which is a 45-second buff, which will recuperate your weapon sharpness whenever you land perfect dodges. This is easier if you switch skill swap to use the Shrouded Bolt, or if you have a high evade window skill on. For the Charge Blade, you get File Follow-Up Firing Pin, Ready Stance, and Air Dash. First up, for the firing pin, there's two ways to activate this. You can either do a shield thrust, and that'll put a mark on the target, or you can just do regular boosted sword attacks. And when you hit these spots, they're going to grow, and then when you switch to axe mode, you can detonate them, and they're going to explode for some extra damage. Then you have the Ready Stance, which is a counter you can do different attacks out of after you absorb a hit. If you hit both the normal attack and the special attack right after getting hit, you can skip right to that Ultra Element Discharge. For the air dash, there's 2 different attacks you can do out of this. You can either do a normal attack for a jumping slash, or you can hit special attack for a file explosion. For the gun lance, you get Eruption Cannon, Bullet Barrage, and Reverse Blast. First, for the Eruption Cannon, there's a few different ways to get to this attack, but it'll ignite the end of your lance for 30 seconds, and then all of your slashing damage will be increased for that time. Then you have the Bullet Barrage, which is going to send you flying forward and just shoot everything all at once. And if you're using the Eruption Cannon, that'll ignite the end of the lance as well. You do have to vent this every time you use it. Then you have the Reverse Blast, which is going to send you flying backwards, and you can do a few different follow-ups out of this. For the Hunting Horn, you get Swing Combo, Sonic Bloom, and Silkbind Shockwave. First up, for the Swing Combo, if you do 2 left swings, it'll actually send you moving over to the left, and if you do 2 right swings, it'll move you to the right. Then you have the Sonic Bloom, which puts down this little pod, and after you perform enough songs near it, it'll actually detonate for a really big hit. It's super good if the monster's asleep. Now, if you put it down and you move out of the range, it'll explode anyways, just for far less damage. And then you have the Silkbind Shockwave, which gives you a 30-second buff on your weapon, where all of your subsequent attacks will hit for multiple times. This attack is also really good if you're just trying to power through some oncoming hits. The Heavy Bowgun gets Crouching Shot, Rising Moon, and Setting Sun. For the Crouching Shot, when you hold down the shoot button, you'll go stationary, but you fire incrementally faster the longer you hold this. You can overheat your weapon for a time if you hold that down for too long. This works the best on ammo types that have a low count before you have to reload. For example, the slicing ammo here is pretty slow to refire. However, if you combine it with the Crouching Shot, you can sock it in a ton of these pretty quickly. Then we have Rising Moon, which puts down this blue circle, and when you fire through it, it'll increase the range of any ammo type and also increase its velocity. For example, using spread ammo, we're usually out of range, but this will allow us to shoot it from quite a bit further away. Then you have Setting Sun, which is another one of these rings. This one will decrease the speed of the projectile, but any multi-hit ammo will hit for even more times. And you can combine this with Rising Moon to get the further distance out of your ammo and also gain the effects from the multi-hit. For the Greatsword, it gets the Surge Slash Combo, Strong Arm Stance, and Backslide. For the Surge Slash Combo, this fundamentally changes most all the moveset for the Greatsword, giving you these much faster attacks, either they're vertical or horizontal based depending on your button presses, and at the end of those, you can switch to your good old-fashioned charge attacks. Then you have the Strong Arm Stance, which is a counter, and you can skip right to the 3rd hit of the Surge Slash Combo out of that. Or if you're using the Charge Slash Combo, after you absorb a hit, you can skip right into the middle of a charge. Then you have the Backslide, which lets you maintain your charge combos while still being able to evade. So you can advance your charge level even after using this and getting a little extra distance backwards. For the Insect Glaive, you get Kinsect Slash, Awaken Kinsect Attack, and Kinsect Glide. First up, you have the Kinsect Slash, which will send you flying forward and you'll gain extract from anywhere that you hit. If it's a red extract that you get, it'll actually change the follow-up attack out of this to the Enhanced Spiker. Then you have the Awakened Kinsect Attack, which consumes all of your extracts but sends you flying forward. It also marks the target as well. You can then do a vaulting dance out of that, which leads to all kinds of different follow-ups. Then you have the Kinsect Glide, which will send you flying forward and will also gain extracts depending on where you hit with it. You can also perform this one out of the air. For the sword and shield, you get the twin blade combo, Destroyer Oil, and Shield Bash. First is the twin blade combo, which changes your attack out of a side slash. You can also input a direction and completely reorient yourself after that attack. Then you have a Destroyer Oil, which coats your weapon for 45 seconds, and it also increases your chance to interrupt the monster during their attacks. You won't see a huge difference with this, but if you use exhaust on the monster, you might see those interrupts being more prevalent. Then you have the Shield Bash, which sends you rushing forward with your shield raised, and it can also absorb attacks during the middle of the animation. For the switch axe, you get the 2-stage morph slash combo, the wire step, and the elemental burst counter. First off, you have the 2-staged morph slash combo, and while you're doing a wild swing, you can then do these 2 different attacks out of that. You can also prematurely stop the attack and switch right into sword mode from that. Then you have wire step, which is more of a evasive move, and this scales off of evade extender if you want some more distance out of that. Also, if you're in sword mode, this will skip you right back to axe mode. Then you have the elemental burst counter, which will put you into this readied state where you can do an elemental burst out of that. However, if you use that to absorb an incoming hit, you'll do a larger power finisher out of that, which will also put your sword into its amped state. For the lance, you get the shield tackle, skyward thrust, and sheathing retreat. First up, you have the shield tackle, which will send you rushing forward, and it will also absorb hits during that animation. There's 2 different follow-ups you can then do out of this. Then you have the skyward thrust, which does 1 hit on the way up and then multiples on the way down. For the sheathing retreat, you can use this to automatically sheath your weapon while evading backwards, or you can use this as a distance closer to initiate combat. For the hammer, you get the spinning bludgeon charge, keeping sway, and impact burst. First up, you have the spinning bludgeon charge, which will change the spinning attack to where you can then build up energy and automatically switch to your other mode and maintain that charge. Then you have the keeping sway, which allows you to evade while maintaining your charge level. And very last, you have the impact burst, which adds a 60-second buff to your weapon, where any of your charged attacks actually hit then for multiple times. And that's pretty much it for the basics of each of the new Switch skills. If you haven't yet, also check out my advanced tips video for Sunbreak, and also my new bonus content channel I recently started, which has full master rank hunts on it along with random other stuff. Thanks for checking this out. I'm Alex, and have a good one.